my job is just give the general indication what's going on. Make sure we have the proper tempo. Everybody's trying to figure out what the music is like. Now we have an idea. Now we go for some detail. All right? Nice staccato, like nice balance your triads in the trumpets, 3 parts, 2 parts in the trombones, equally weighted. And we're going for the syncopation. Make the staccato a little lighter, a little more accent on 2 and 4. Here we go. Can we play and 2 and 3 and 1 in the duplets in the tuba and euphonium? All right? Play over the pulse. Boom, beep, beep, boom. I don't want to hear boom, beep, boom. I don't want to hear 5 ones. I want to hear 3 2s. Boom, beep, beep, boom. Is that? Can we make the inflection of the 3 1 2 more noticeable? 1 3 1 3 1 3 1 3 1 3 1. Once more, brass was beautiful. Retain that. Add that dimension there and there and here. Here we go. Beginning. In your lap, and we're going to conduct that. What did you notice about what I did? I just basically dealt with the detail of the syncopation first, and then I started something and I let it go, and I prepared the next moment. I started that and I let it go, and got my mind on preparing the next gesture. There is a danger with young conductors, you stay with one moment too long, and then you miss the next one. So you got to get used to starting and let go, prepare the next. Start that, let it go. Don't stay with it trying to get too much detail. All right, so you notice we started with light staccato. Yup. And the rebound off the second staccato was this. As soon as I do that, you know there's an accent on 2. So I did yup, dee, dee, da, da, dee, 1, 2, blah, blah. So you have a cue on 2 for the tuba and the timpani in the next bar. So as soon as I get into bar 2, I'm beginning in my mind to prepare the brass to finish the phrase for 1, and then I let it go and give a cue for 2, 2, boom, beep, boom, beep. And that 2, 3, I don't think I really need that at that point. Conduct from the beginning, boom, boom. Rebound off the second quarter, second eighth note. So we prepare the accent. 1, 2, ready, and ding, ding, da, da, ding, da, da, and 1, 2, beep, beep. Same thing. Ding. Get your mind. Here's a cadence and cue on 2, 2, da da ding, 1, 2, da da ding, 1, da da ding, da da ding, and 1. And then that takes us right into that. Okay, let's look at the next section. The march at 9. Is the most important part going on there. And the triplet goes forward. And I want it in a 4 meter. I don't want it in a 1 meter. 1, 1, 1, 1. I want 1, 2, 3, 4. Young. The underpinning. The ostinatos are so important that they be musical when you have, whether it be a rhythmic ostinato or a tonal ostinato, because that sets the whole underpinning that we're going to play off of in the 4 meter. Okay? So whomever playing, do the best you can. We don't have a percussionist. What are you going to help us out with that? Do the best you can. Just thinking 1, 2, 3, 4, and 1, 2, 3, 4, and dum, ding, ding, and we'll just sit on top of that. And the bass drum's going 1, 3, 1, 3, 4, and that's the most important. Underneath the second is that I know so many, I say, I don't know how many times I do festivals, and I talk to the director and say, you know, I know you're struggling to play, but the bass drummer is playing in 1 meter. So everybody, kids are trying to play, the bass drum's going 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, and he's usually going bang, bang, bang. You know, short stroke, and it's just, it's a short stroke of playing a 4 meter. 1, 3, 1, 3, 4. Good percussionists can play melodies on the bass drum. Okay? And either use a nice cloth, sheepskin cloth as a dampener, or your knee. I like the cloth on the bass drum. It's about this big, and you just hold it lightly on the head, and you can control the amount of ring, rather than using your knee or your hand on the other head. And I don't know why people don't use that. All professionals do. Why shouldn't kids use that? And if you want to make sure you work on your percussion, take some lessons from a good percussionist. It doesn't take much. You don't need to know a lot. You don't have to learn to play, but you got to know these little tricks, because if the drum rings too much, then you can't get what I just want. You know, you've got to have that cloth right on there, and then control the amount of ring. Here's 9. Looking ahead, so we discussed, we're still doing back to score analysis. Now, is the march theme syncopated? And you say no. We have a change of time. The syncopation is now over. So we want that half note accent and taper. A lot of us are struggling with that still. Play too bold all the time. And a good question when you prepare your scores is, a good question to ask yourself is, what do I want the audience to hear? In my score preparation, how do I want to design the presentation? And that'll determine the perspective of how you weight the different elements of the piece. To say to yourself, what do I want the audience to hear here? I want them to hear the theme, then the meter. We just talked about what the percussion is doing on the underpinning. What's the grouping for the woodwinds? 2-3-1 grouping, isn't it? Different. So we're using a 3-1, 3-1, more animated in the fanfare, and here in the second bar of 9, we're using 2-3-1, 2-3-1, which is a more flowing, less activity. And that's also, the mallets are in that as well. Next page. What happens with the continuation of the bar 5 of that theme? How many bars we got there? 1, 2. We add a French horn call. And it's out of the key, and it's a half step. You should have very attention-getting by the nature of what tones the composer chose. It's going to have a little animation in there, that half step. Okay, I'm prepared for that. And that occurs twice, and then a cadence, right? In the next bar, A flat, B flat written, D flat, E flat concert. Let's play this section. So we're going to start at 9. We're set reading now. You need your part. You need your part. You want to turn page. Okay, you remember our tempo? Ready? Other activity going on, you must leave room for the other activity. Saxophones were absolutely beautiful on that horn call, right? Except what? We got to the long tone and it was bold for 7 beats. And you should have thrown the ball back to the brass. Do your bit, say, all right, my turn's done, your turn. All right? And we have no signs for this, right? Like you can't put a little inflection thing under every bar. The music would be so cluttered you wouldn't know what to look at. Okay? That principle is very important. It's very nice to do it once more. You just have good sight reading. Can you match your articulation? Can you match the style You're going to take it from your lead player in the trumpets. First, whoever the chair is going to control the amount of taper. You work together as a team. All right, here we go. 9, once more. Some of us are shortening notes. Is there a reason why we're doing it? Not one woodwind held out the half note. Two things happen on every beat. Something ends and something begins at the same fraction of a second. So on beat 1 of 4B4, 17, if you look at your score, look at the score, you got your part up, page 4. So that half note in the second bar there ends on beat 1 of the next bar, when the silence begins. And you were all out on the end of 4. So would you check, it's just maybe bad habits. I'm sure you would make sure that you follow the concept. Two things happen on every beat. Something stops and something starts at the same fraction of a moment. And don't leave early. Now the trumpets are going to separate there because they need to breathe. And the brass, right? Have to breathe at the end of the whole note so that we can start over again. But you go all the way up, not over, but right up to there. And the same thing at 17, bar before in the woodwinds. And the trumpets, then at 17. Don't go out until the downbeat of 17. With a taper, but don't leave early. With those two goals in mind, can we do 9? Now we begin to set up good rehearsal techniques. Always a goal. Try one, whenever you stop. We were talking yesterday. This is obviously a teaching situation, but I try professionally with kids to stop as little as possible. Right? I try and fix it with the stick. The only time I stop is when I can't communicate. Either I'm screwing up or they're not watching. One or the other. Then I have to stop. Because as a player, I hate that. Sit there and stop. Somebody keeps talking. Do it with a stick. I can see. Do something. But don't keep stopping and talking. Beat time. Stop and talk. Beat time. That's what we want to avoid. Okay? You don't like it as a player. And when you're up here, players don't like it either. Here we go. 9. With those goals in mind. So you start the first 2 accents at 9 because we've changed from syncopation on the beat. Like I did, you saw me like that. I did ding, dong. I did subtle 2 and 4. Dong, ding, and an accent bounce and wait. Ding, dong, and the 2 and 4 is like a rebound. Ding, dong. There's 2 and 4 there. But one of my ding. Once I do the rebound for the accent, I've given up beat 2. I've used up beat 2 with rebound because that's more important. The same thing with the accent on 3. Once I give the accent rebound, I can't give 4, but only minimally. Okay? So that's what people say, early in the course. You don't give all the beats. No, I give the right ones and toss away what I don't need. Would you do that? Get a feel for ding and bounce. Here we go. And dong, ding, dong, dong. 1. Q, da, da, dee. Now, 1, don't worry about the accent there. Your job is to prepare 1. 1 for the woodwinds. Once you do 1, you know what's coming. Da, da, dee, da, da, da. There's 9, rebound. 1, da, da, dee, da, 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 dee, da, da, da. And you need a little bounce there. Bounce, da, da, dee, da, da, da. Once more for the bounce. 1, there's 9, 1 and 2 and 3, bounce, rebound, dee, da, da, 1, 2, da, 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 dee. The woodwinds, da da dee, da da da. Now accent, 1 and 2, 3, 4, B. So let's look at those bars. You've got a Q on 1, a Q on 3, and a Q on 4 of different kinds. You have a rebound accent for both da-dee-dong and the brass. So it's going to look like this. 1, da-dee-dong, A, da-da-dee, and back in. Here we go. Right on those bars, accent, rebound, and go. 1, da-dee-dong, da-dee, da-da-da, and I'm going to encourage the A flat, B flat in the French horn and saxophone, because I want them to finish that line, because that's different than the bar before. So let's do it again. Rebound, 1, 8, accent, Q, and 1, now 4, 1, 4, 1, da-da-dum, woodwinds, and then we immediately go from articulated to legato. So let's do bar 16. It's going to be 1, da-da-dee-da. So my end of 2 into 3 is legato, even though they're still playing articulated. So it's 1, da-da-dee, da-dee-da-dum. It's too late. It's too late. So you come before. 1, da-da-dee-da-da-dee-da-dee-da. 3, 3, da-dee-da-dum. To conduct that bar. Animated, da-da-dee-da-da-dum. Ready? And da-da-dee-da-da-Q. Da-dee-da-dee. Now, we want a different kind of accent because we're mezzo forte. So we want to bounce. Bounce, Q, body, bounce. Bounce for the accent, a lighter bounce for the staccato. Watch. B, body, 2, body, da, da, dee. 1, 2, conduct, and do, 2, da, dee, 2, da, dee, da, da, then come back. Dee, dum, 2 bounces. Dee, dum. Once more, ready? And dee, bounce, dum, dee, bounce, dum, dee, da, 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 legato. Da, 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 dee, da, da, dee, Q. Da, da, dee, da, da, Q. Da, 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 bounce. Do that bar. And don't turn the page. So it looks like this, two bounces, and then a really good bounce for the trumpets. So it's dee da da dum, da 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 da, dee da da da. I don't care what comes after that. That's all they need is da da da. I only have to beat 3 and 4. That says it all completely. And that's all I do in record dates. Is thing just throw cues. I don't have to worry professionally. I have to beat time. Just throw cues in the style that you want. If I want it lighter, I'll do less. If I want it more, I'll do. Now I have to get the beat now. All right? 17. Conduct. Here we go. Start. Let go. D, do, D. 1 and 2 and ready and go. D, do, D, D, do, D, 2. The accent of 2. Here comes your cue. Now and da 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 D and bounce and wait. Da 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 da. Da, 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 da. Don't go on. Just give me the cue now on 3. Da, 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 da. Again. Bounce. Da, 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 da. Now recover. 1, 2. Da, 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 da. Boom. Then you can recover. But see, you've given up 4 in this. You got to just recover to get back to 1. Nothing here. All right, let's talk about 27. What's the first conducting session? 10:30? No, it's 10:30.
After that.
All right, so I'm okay. Oh, it's humid, or is it not me? Okay. Diminuendo into that. All right, let's look at 27, score preparation. What's the harmonic rhythm? Are you all familiar with the term, harmonic rhythm? The frequency of chord change creates its own harmonic rhythm. You put a chord change on every beat, you've got a very active one. You put a chord change on every second bar, you've got a passive one. What's going on here? 2 chords per bar. What's the inflection then? Second note light. Boom, 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 boom. The worst thing you want is dum, dum, bum, dum, ding, right? Second note light. In the meter. 1, 2, 1, 1, 2, 3. And what's the melody doing? Over the meter. So the accompaniment is in the meter, 2 twos with a second note light. And what kind of melody do we have? Is it a passive? Is it very angular? Does it have wide leaps? You say, yes, very emotional. The wider the leap, the more emotion involved, inherent in the music, without you having to do anything. So we want to prepare the fourth beat, keep the preparation of the leap with the note and its resolution in this case. So the fourth beat at 27 takes you into the downbeat and then the resolution. So that's got to be a three-note grouping. Certainly the concept is, which we'll get to later in the week, the tension resolution always goes together. The preparation may or may not go with that two moments. It depends on the music. There's no rules. In this case, I put the preparation for the lead with it. And we only have two elements. What's going on in the percussion? Snare drum's going to do the same thing as the harmonic rhythm. Second note, second and fourth beats light, right? Cymbal's going to do the same thing. The second and fourth beats light. Turn the page, go on. 35, the same thing. We just add octaves to the melody. Not much change in the accompaniment. Let's play this section. Net's okay. Net's okay. Soft. Really soft. With this feel, right? 27. The harmonic rhythm. 27. Here we go. And. What did I do? As soon as I heard we were not in agreement, the accompaniment of the melody down. There's two choices. You can either phrase conduct the melody, or as soon as you hear this is not together and the feel isn't right, I started to do this. Let them get to the next time. And you know what happened? About 4 bars, we all came together. So you learn to conduct by conducting experience. Ears. Expectation, I just listen for what music in my head and what doesn't match in you in my playing. And then without, see, I would not have stopped at a regular rehearsal because I already fixed it without stop. It all came together. Then I go back to here with that. You know what I mean? So you got to, you're all over the place in rehearsal. Try not to stop. As soon as you get it together, you don't have to stop. So what I just did was very poor, other than I'm teaching. Otherwise, I would point out I would not have stopped. Here's 27. Because that melody's in 2, and you're in 4. So while you're going, as soon as I got into here, everything over here became very smooth and very lyrical. But if I kept doing this, then that doesn't relate to that. Once that's all right, all going in augmentation. Yeah, and then when did I go back to 4? Cadence before 35. 1, because you had changed the style, right? We went from separated to legato. And then I would do the same thing coming into 43. All right, let's get ahead to the ending. 60, look at the score, page 10. So page 10, third bar, we have a recapitulation of what we did earlier, including the French horn call with the half step. Now we have an extension. So the piece actually ends on the first downbeat of page 11, right? We get a 5-1 cadence in E flat. Trumpet's home bass, right? Chord. What's going on there? A heroic 2 sets of the interval fourth, the fourth, perfect fourth is a heroic interval. Boom, bing, ba-ding, 2/4. Boom, bing, heroic interval. So, following the principle that when we have rising lines, we know the audience is going to hear the high beat time because it's the top of the line. I want to make sure in conducting that is they hear boom, bing. So the lower brass has to overplay the two lower notes, and the upper notes take care of themselves. If we don't feature that, then the audience will just hear boom, bing. They will hear the first two notes. Boom, bing, da ding. So you got to work on the rising lines. We'll get to this this afternoon. We're going to go through the phrasing guidelines. This is one of the major principles. I'm going to make sure if you have an octave progression, we know we're going to hear this. Want to make sure that we hear the front part of it. Boom, bing, ba ding, da 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 ding. Boom, bing, ba ding. 3 times. The third time we go to the chord. And then probably the trumpets are going to come back in the high woodwinds into the last bar, and I would ask for a natural crescendo. Not an overwhelming one. First of all, we're going to use accent and taper in the trumpets and woodwinds. So we can hear what? Boom, bing, ba-dum, da-da-da-ding, boom, bing, ba-dum, da-da-da-ding. And they're going to back off, and now they're done. The last bar, then we can develop the sonority of the sustaining dum, dum, boom, bing, and go right into the last note. Want to play the ending? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 bars from the end. Off the score. Play off the score. Play off the score. You have to open 2 pages, right? 10 and 11s together. So now we're back to do. And I like to sing to the percussionist triple time, double time. Very nice way to communicate. Rather than try and say ta 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 or something. Just double tom or triple tom. So if you're a woodwind player like I am, I had to learn how to double. Well, I was a flute player, so I could double and triple tom anyway. Or I did play flute. I don't know how flute applies. I was a player. All right. So if you can't triple tom, double tom, learn to do it, and it sings great to the percussionists. Here we go. Last thing. Probably should have written crescendo. Okay, I think that was a very nice workout. I hope that these will give you an idea of how you can, what you can do, what types of things to look for when you prepare your etudes now, because they're going to have these types of things in it, and what you can do next week. All right. So tomorrow I'll do the third movement, and if there's time, we'll do the whole thing so you'll have it on the tape. But this is the most important part. We don't have to play it, right? We already did it in bits and pieces. So we have a sustained B flat from the 2 bases. To sustain, when you need a breath, take a breath. Go ahead. In fact, you may do that later. We'll do it later. Well, it's not his horn. He's got to work. He's got to get the spiders out of it.
It's just like a student group.
So just quickly, there should be 3 drum parts up there with 3 pages.
No.
There's a part up there with 2 pages.
The percussion one's only got 2 pages, and it must have a 3rd page separate, or something.
Well, this is a copy, I think.
Yeah, but no, there were, when I checked it, there were 3 pages for every 3 drum parts.
Yep. Well,
Is that it?
No, he'll play off the score.
No, it's the same. It's the same part, and there are only 2 out of the 3 pages.
Alright. Have you got a spare score? Where's the spare score go?
Oh, they've got a score.
They've got a
Go
score
to
up
score,
there.
right.
When the part runs out, go to the score. All right. Let's use the same procedure. Let's go to the program notes and see what the composer has to say about the 3rd movement. So we've got 2nd paragraph on the left side, and then a long paragraph on the right, rehearsal suggestions. Now, if you had time, I would refer to the different sections, the different numbers, read the comment, turn ahead and look, but we're gonna do it anyway. So we'll just go to page 18 with that in mind. Bing bong, right? Church bell. And if we look at the material used in the introduction, we see in the woodwinds, we have the same notes as a chord, and we have the same notes as a melodic entity, right? So we start in bar 2 with the same notes, F, C, D, and G, sustained on the bottom with open fourths, D to G to C. So you've got your hollow fourths over an F pedal. So we have harmony in fourths, this fourth sound. And the same notes above. So how many different size bells do we have? The long notes represent the really deep bells, and the woodwinds the tiny small bells, and the trumpets come in the medium-sized bells. And it's all mixed up. The big bells are out of meter, the little bells are in the meter, and so are the trumpets. And that just keeps going on and on and on and on. It goes off, takes us up to 12, and that continues all the way over to bar 20. Right, what's the percussion doing? We look back, well, we have chimes, we have tubular bells and orchestra bells and gongs. Okay, so we've got some nice colors there if the instruments are available. Now we're back at 20. Now our mallet instruments go to xylophone, and the snare drum comes in. Pick it up, pick it up, pick it up, pick it up. The snare drum has the bridge over to 24. How many elements are going on at 20? Say, all right, what do we got? Just two elements, boom, boom, ding, boom. So we have the scale coming up in the counter melody and the little fanfare rhythms in the other parts, along with the percussion. All right, so we have a 19-bar introduction, and then we have a little interlude with a fanfare type of feel, and that takes us to 24, the main theme. So we're developing our architecture. Now we're going to continue to look through, okay? I'm looking at 24 through there. I'm going to come back with details. I turn the page, and we have another sudden change in texture. 36 returns to the main theme, looks like. Okay, so I've got 2, 4, 6, 8 bars, and then a little interlude, and another 8 bars, and then a different section. Ding, boom. This is a little development section where we take fragments of the main theme and use them in a developmental manner. Okay, changing meters there, that should be fun to do. Over the bar, that goes on for a while. Now I'm at 51. Looks like an interlude to me. Big rising line from the bottom of the ensemble all the way to the top. Pick it up, pick it up, pick it up. And that's a short version of what we had earlier. 58, we have the main theme back. And as we read in our program notes, then we have a shortened version of the introduction and part of the interlude material back again. Okay, so we know so far. Now we go back with more detail. Let's look at the main theme of 24. What's going on at 24? They have a tune and an accompaniment. The percussion goes with the accompaniment, not with the tune. Okay. Is that a crescendo or a decrescendo? Rising lines that do not resolve. It's just like the opening of the whole. We talked about that the other day. I used that as an example. Same thing here. Syncopation on 2. So there's a little syncopation here with an accent on the second beat every 2 bars. Syncopated mouthful. Beep, tuck-a-duck, beep, duck, tuck-a-duck, duck, beep, tuck-a-duck, duck, duck, beep. That's pretty clear. So we basically have only 2 elements. Just the melody and the accompaniment. Next section. We say, oh, that's a nice color. We have piccolo and trumpet. Just piccolo and trumpet with the horns and trombones in seconds. So we have B flat and C and E flat and F. So we have 2 seconds, almost a cluster, not quite. All right, the trumpets are doubling the horns and trombones. All right. So that should be a nice color with having a piccolo 2 octaves above the trumpet, huh? Rather than 1 octave on the flute. That should be a nice color. Nice staccato. What kind of grouping are we going to use? First of all, what's the phrasing of this interlude melody? Two sub-phrases. Ding, ba-dum, bum, da-da-dum, ding, da-dum, da-dum, ding. So the phrase groupings are 2 groups of 3 8 notes. Right, now, how are we going to group the underpinning underneath that? I wonder what the composer had in mind. I wonder if he wants it in 2s, or he feels like a 6, or should it be grouped with the melody? So, ding, ba-dum, bum, da-da-dum, ding, da-dum, da-da-dum, bum, ding, 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 ding. No, I don't like that. I think that overemphasizes the grouping. Why don't we oppose? How am I going to phrase it? Why not just do 2s in the meter, in the 3 meter, with the second note light? Yo, 1, 2, 1. So we get a little taper to the bar, and it feels like it's in the 3 meter. I might try that first. Okay, so I decided I'm not going to take the accompaniment with the same grouping as the melody. We'll oppose there. 36, looking ahead. Is that the same scoring as before? Let me look back. 1-4. Yep, same thing. No trumpets, just woodwinds, lower saxophones and lower brass on the accompaniment. Same thing as 24. Okay. Now we're at 44. We have this little developmental section, he said in his notes, where he took fragments of earlier sections and made a little interlude out of it. So we have ding, boom, dum, da, dum, boom, ding, dum, ding, boom, dum, da, dum, boom, boom, ding, boom, ding, da, dum, boom, ding, ding, dong, ding, da, dum, boom, boom. And now we're going to build crescendo up through the band, up to a climax. Snare drum, Now the main theme returns, but a new color, right? Trumpets hadn't played the tune yet. So the recapitulation uses a rescoring with the unison trumpets. And then we add, next page, we add the woodwinds to the trumpet, okay? So we start with a new color with just trumpets, and this is a new color because the trumpets didn't play with the woodwinds before. So that should be a fresh sound, huh? And then we go back to all the chimes are ringing all over the neighborhood, right? All the bells, big bells, little bells, church over there, church over here, all bouncing off the walls, getting all cluttered up together. And we have an ending. Okay, so let's do what we did with the other 2 movements and work a little bit on each section. All right, you want play a few notes, play a few notes. Okay, just a few more decisions. If you look at the beginning, there's two ways to make accents, and they result in two different musical presentations. I can put my mean volume on the accented notes and play the other notes lighter, or I can put my mean volume on the less important notes and play the important notes louder. As an artist, tend to play the other way more than the second way. The second way is a little more percussive. So since this is an ideal place to apply that principle, so I'm going to put the mean volume on the accented notes, pop, beep, pop, beep, pop, the woodwinds, and play the other notes later. So we get beep, beep, pop, beep, pop, pop, beep, pop. So the staccato is lighter than the accents, thereby making the accented notes noticeable, but not banging on the accented notes. To me, it's a very important principle of playing. All right, now I'm going to ask for accent and taper on the ball, bing ball, on that little line. And the sforzando held pretty full, but not overbearing. Bell tones and the trumpets, okay, and horns, we can do that. Okay, here we go. Sight reading, tempo. Yep. Well, yeah, the first and second. Don't have a second there. Yeah, you stay. What are you playing, third? Oh, we have to clarence. Play one and two, leave that out. We're just short of part there and play. Right, here we go. I'll move back a little bit because we extended this row out a little bit. Here we go. When we sight read, so let's lighten it up a little bit. Bells are getting a little bit too heavy. Beep, beep, bong. Here we go. And can we balance the fourths of the trombones and euphos? Right? Those two fourths perfectly balanced between the three notes. Beginning. Pick it up, pick it up, pick it up, pick it up. Don't play all notes the same. We have two principles here. 16th notes on the beat, resolve the lighter, longer notes. Off the beat or forward looking. So we have pick it up, one, we're on 20. Now, this is a good example. It'll happen for the next 7 days. When we all think alike, magic happens. Do you notice how clean that was in the room? Can you tell the difference between that when we all thought the same inflection? Magic happens. It just all of a sudden just becomes so beautiful. Okay? From the beginning, may I have just the sforzando chord, second bar, and sustain it without a sforzando. Just sustain the chord. And again, just the sforzando. Again, and bounce down to the tuba, and scores. I know you gotta listen across the room. You gotta bounce down to the tuba. Take whatever volume we have in the tuba and fit inside the note. Ready, and now you hear the overtones rubbing. See, if we don't have enough of the fundamental, all their notes are in that note, right? Because they have the biggest vibration. So as a tone sustains, it vibrates within itself in the overtone series. So therefore, we want to tune our chords down to there. If you have the tubas, you know, if you have a young, you just tune to the lowest instrument you have. But there's the color of that chord that those of you not playing. That's the type of thing you want to experiment with next week. Getting the sonority going, getting the phrasing going, getting the style going. And when the trumpets come in, have the first trumpet in upper octaves. If you look at the score, they're in octaves. It's the lower octave that supports the upper octave. So we hear the lower octave as well. All right, with that in mind, can I just have the woodwinds and the strings? Beep, beep, boom. Get your mind on the accented notes and play the other notes lighter. Right on it, and. Again, still light, a little lighter in the beginning. I don't hear much difference. Beep, beep, boom, beep, boom. I want really to notice the difference between the two staccato and the two accents. Here we go, and. Okay, it's a little syncopated now, isn't it? You like having the upbeat of 2 louder than the downbeat of 2. Now, I'd rather have it within the meter. So I want it accented, but makes the 8th note on the upbeat of 2 is a pickup to the other note. And. We're getting there, nice and short, okay? Everybody in? We already rehearsed 20. Let's take a look at 24. Diminuendo. Let's play it. We'll play. Why don't you play off the score, so you can notice what's going on. We'll play page 21 only. Stop. We won't turn the page. All right, here we go. Remember, forte is not loud. Forte is a beautiful full tone. Fortissimo is loud. Forte is just a beautiful full tone. Here's 24. And. Okay, again, sight reading. I'm letting them get along and just not trying to press things too much. Now we do a little more rehearsal conducting. Should have gotten more response though, huh? Or wasn't getting enough accent. I didn't want to stop. Didn't want to stop. You should have caught twice. I didn't hardly beat and just beat 2. Right? 2. But I didn't get from everybody. Here we go. 24. Sing place. And. Those of you not playing, you can get the difference in that. So in rehearsal conducting again, leave out what's you don't need and concentrate on what you want to accomplish. All right, just the accompaniment. Just the accompaniment. Very nice. Put it together. We're not on the same page. We're not all doing a diminuendo. We must have the diminuendo. Then the first note is a little longer. It's like spiccato in the string. In order to get the string vibrating in the bout, the first one's always a little longer. So we apply that to the wind playing. Da, da, not da, 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 da. Make that first note just a little bit longer to get the reed vibrating, and then we can keep that going. 1, 2, ready. Now we're getting there. together. And everyone, 2, 3. All right, next section. Let's review our analysis. Okay. So we decided that we were going to do duplets, 3 groups of 2, and just do it in a nice 3 meter. 1, 2, 1, 1, so that there's strong beat, 2 light beats, with maybe the last beat going forward. 1, 3, 1, 3, 1, 3, 1. The last duplet in each measure is forward looking. So you have strong light, light. All right. Let's play it, see what it sounds like. We don't have a piccolo. Ah, we do. Very good. I just snuck that out. I didn't see it. Here we go. So we have trumpet solo, or is it soli? Nice soli. Okay. You can put 2 on it if you want. Ready? And. No, we just sustain the first chord without the melody note. Without the melody note. And. Now keep that balance as we articulate. Got to have that sound in the short notes. I don't want to hear too much of the mechanics of the note. I want to hear the note. Everybody in there, breathe in. As we come again, just sustain the chord again. Ready, and. You're playing cues. Let's see, your horns are in. We only have 1 horn note. Somebody pick. Okay, once more. Just sustain, and. Even it out so we have a pure blend. I hear notes sticking out. Once more, ready, and. A little louder, and. Now let's play the way we're going to do it. Yup. 1, 2. Melody with it, and make the downbeat accent a little more subtle than that. And. Now, can you match the length of your quarter notes with the accent? There's 2 different concepts in the room with the length of the accented notes. Those of you not playing, listen again and see if we get any change. Right on it? And. Difference in that? When they match, we had two different lengths and 2 different kinds of articulation. And now we have the same, and it's just magic. And everybody, again, and where am I working? I'm working on the imagery, not the technical aspects. All right, we can skip the next section and go on to 44. Accent and taper, I think we decided. Bing, bong, yo, bing, bing, bong. Let's play it. You'll have to go to your parts now. You'll have to go to your parts. Okay, sight reading, and. Again, just that section. They're sorting out themselves. 1, 2, and. Okay, let's do 44 again. Everyone with the same style articulation, accent and taper. B, bo, not a 40 piano. We have some people playing ba, D, bo, B, about that style articulation, 44. Yum, tika-dum, tika-dee-dum. 16 notes are forward looking. Yum, tika-dum, tika-dee. dee-dum. With that inflection, same place. Okay, let's keep the 16th note short. Dum, 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 dee, dum. We have two different lengths in the room. Two different lengths 16th notes. Two different concepts. So let's make them short. Dee, dum, 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 dee, dum. Except that note. Dum, 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 dee, dum. Dum, 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 dee, dum. And don't think about the mechanics of the tongue. Sing it in your head and make the instrument play that way. All right, here we go. Can I just have the second bar of 44? Second bar is horn and saxophone. And again, yup, da-da-dee-dum, ready? And da-da-dee-dum, da-da-dee-dum, da-da-dee-dum. See if you can get it short. And can you hear? Still I hear da-da-dee-dum, da-da-da-dum. Once more, see if you can get da-da-dee, da-da-da-dum. One, and that's it. Everybody 44? And we'll go on this time. And we'll just finish it. Because everything else is material we've already worked on. 36. Let's do this whole section. Back to 24. We'll play it first. See what happens. Back to 24. Right on it? To it. Two more sessions. Let's do the jazz thing now. That's on page, wherever it is. 337. 337. We're going to play, so everybody's got the horns with them anyway.
At 4 o'clock, so we arrived there just before 4 o'clock, halfway down the wicket, bounces, and he's got Barry on the video saying, well, you sort out their problems. And then for the next...
Then read below, keep on. So